fulfill every promise to you. Don't give up on God, 'cause He won't give up on you. He's able. He's able.
Rejection came to him. People want to embrace Jesus, but they don't always like where Jesus wants to take them. And so Jesus is always stuck in the early phases of his ministry deciding, do I do what people think they need me to do for them? Or do I do for them what my Father has called me to do for them? And so even his family has started to reject him. Then disciples started to reject him. And then he preached in his own hometown, declared himself the Messiah, and as we saw last week, they were all up on him being Messiah. But not so much with him declaring favor upon the Gentiles. And they chased him out of his own hometown to a cliff and tried to throw him over. And we saw that Jesus left his hometown for Capernaum. And he would never be welcome in his hometown again. But he goes where? To Capernaum. And my sermon is called Home Sweet Capernaum. Home Sweet Capernaum. Because Jesus got rejected from the only home he knew. Jesus got rejected from the people who raised him. Jesus got rejected from his own synagogue. And the amazing text we read last week said that Jesus went to try to do miracles in Nazareth, but he could not do any miracles in Nazareth. I mean, this is Jesus. But the spirit of his own people were such. This is Jesus. But the spirit of his hometown was such that he couldn't help them. And so when we think about Jesus, we think about someone who can do anything, right? And he could have. But when you think about Jesus, and you think about Jesus being able to do anything, understand this. He's not going to bless us if we don't want to be blessed. He's not going to do his miracles if we're trying to throw him over the cliff. And so what happens? Well, Jesus realizes that his success is before him. It is going forward. It's not going backwards, right? We've been talking about how to get unstuck. And one of the things Jesus told his disciples is, look, when you're not welcome anymore, you wipe the dust off your feet and you go to the next place. You go to the next town. You go to the next person. You go to the next circumstance. Jesus realized that the problem was not his Father. It was his town. And so he didn't go far, but he went a little bit. He's still in Galilee. Look at the map. You can trace his path. He gets a little bit closer to the Sea of Galilee. He moves from Nazareth to a larger town called Capernaum. Now, I visited Capernaum just a couple years ago when I was in Israel. It is one of my favorite sites. When you talk about visiting Israel, there are so many favorite sites, but this is one of them. And this sign I'm about to show you, I'm going to click it in a minute. The sign I'm about to show you is there. I saw this sign with my own eyes. This is what Capernaum had to say. Even now, this is a modern day sign. This is what Capernaum has to say about the fact that Jesus relocated his ministry to Capernaum. This is what they say. This hangs over the town. Capernaum, the town of Jesus. Like, they're ready. Like, they're embracing him. Yeah, they're like, bring it, you know? They're like, and all these years later, like if I ask you, where is Jesus from? You're going to tell me Bethlehem or Nazareth, right? But when you go to Israel, they're going to tell you Capernaum. And if you look, now I'm only going to give you a sample from one chapter today. But if you look at the huge miracles of Jesus, in his early phase of his ministry, they primarily happen in Galilee, within a few miles of Capernaum. In fact, Jesus will spend most of his time in Galilee, in Capernaum, around Capernaum, doing miracles, even to the point that he can't fit his group. The only reason he leaves Capernaum is not because they leave him, but Capernaum, even though it's a bigger city, cannot fit the people that come to see Jesus there. And that's why we get the Sermon on the Mount, because they can't fit the synagogue. Okay? This is what happens when he goes there. So Mark tells us, they went, this is Jesus' disciples, to Capernaum. And when the Sabbath came, Jesus went into what? The synagogue, and he began to teach. You see, you're supposed to see right away the connection to what happened in Nazareth. Jesus went in Nazareth to the synagogue to preach and to teach. And he stood up and he read from the scroll of Isaiah, and they tried to throw him off a cliff. So now it's the same thing. He's just went, this is a week later, goes down the road to Capernaum, goes to the synagogue, goes to teach. And you're supposed to be wondering, will the same thing happen here? Now, I love this place. Like this is the synagogue that Jesus preached in. It is still this is why I love Capernaum. You can go to Capernaum and walk on the floor that Jesus walked on, where he did the miracles we're about to talk about today. This is the synagogue that today's sermon took place in. And those things around the synagogue are the homes of the people that we've excavated who lived there when Jesus did these miracles. And here's the inside of the synagogue. And I just love to look at the floor of this synagogue. I just was in awe to stand on the floor of that synagogue, knowing that one of the most successful moments in the ministry of Jesus happened right in this spot. You see, people can tell you things that are a myth. People can tell you, oh, these are stories that are made up. But when you go there and you stand there and you read the documentation that is there by a secular government saying, this is our historical site. And then you read the Bible and you think about what happened there. And here's the thing. Nothing happened in Capernaum that can't happen in Arlington. Do we serve a different Jesus? No. So the things that happen in Capernaum can happen in Arlington. And so the people, it says, listen to what the people did. The people were what? Ready to throw him off the cliff? Chased him out of the synagogue? He's doing the same thing he did in Nazareth. The people did what? They were amazed at his teaching. Because he taught them as one who had what? Authority, not as the teachers of the law. So in that synagogue, they're sitting around and they're listening to him and they are amazed and they're like, who is this man who speaks with such authority? Who is this man who knows that the Spirit of God is on him? Who is this man who makes us willing to believe that the Messiah is still coming to us? And so it tells us, then another man in the synagogue, who was what? Possessed. Ooh, spooky, right? Who was possessed by what? An impure spirit, a dynamic force. Was in those same four walls with Jesus. Are you following me today? Are you with me? I need to know you're with me. Jesus is in the synagogue of Capernaum. And he is in the church of Arlington. And he is speaking with power, and he's speaking with authority, and he's drawing the hearts of men and women to his cause. But there's another spirit there. And that spirit cries out. That spirit knows too who Jesus is. What do you want with us? You see, that spirit is many. What do you want with us, Jesus of Nazareth? Oh, he's putting a little ding there, isn't he? You know what he's saying. Come on, you were with me last week. Be with me this week. The Spirit's like, we know what happened to you down the road. You think you're going to come in here? You're not Jesus of Capernaum. You're Jesus of Nazareth. You are not on your turf. Have you come here to destroy us? I know who you are. The Holy One of God. Right there. Right there. Right there. In that synagogue. On that floor that I showed you. On that floor that I stood on. Was a man full of devils. But a man full of devils. A man, I said, full of devils. A man, I said, full of devils who knows who Jesus is. And if a man full of devils knows who Jesus is, what does the church know? Are you hearing me today? They know. If they're Capernaum, they know that Jesus speaks with authority. Are you with me this morning? And so Jesus, I love my Jesus. Jesus, I love my Jesus. Jesus is like this. Shut up! Am I lying? Be quiet, said Jesus sternly. And come out of him. The impure spirit shook the man violently and came out of him with a shriek. You see, when Jesus is in your midst, you see when Jesus is in your synagogue, you see when Jesus is in your church. Are you with me today? When Jesus is in your presence, you don't fear demons, you order them out. But you've got to know who it is who's with you. You've got to recognize who it is who's with you. You've got to recognize his power. You've got to recognize his authority. This is what sets Capernaum apart from Nazareth. Nazareth didn't want the message of Jesus. Capernaum wanted the message of Jesus. They knew he had authority. The demon never got a chance to inspire anyone to throw him off a cliff. The people, they were what? How many of them? How many of the people in the synagogue? There were nobody sleeping in the back? When Jesus comes to your town, you want to pay attention. They were all amazed. And they ask each other, what is this? I mean, wouldn't you? What is this? What new teaching? And with such what? With such what? With such what? Authority. That even he gives orders to demons. Even he gives orders to spirits, and they must obey him. And you see, Jesus is not afraid of an impure spirit in his synagogue. Jesus welcomes the impure spirit in his synagogue because Jesus has the power to order him out and redeem the man. Jesus believes in changing the lives of impure people. What about you? What about me? You see, the same power that was in where? Capernaum can be where? Right here in Arlington. Same Jesus? Same Jesus. As soon as they left the synagogue, they went to the home, or they went with James and John to the home of Simon and Andrew. This is Simon Peter and his brother Andrew. So this is like a precursor in Capernaum. This is the appetizer of Capernaum. This is the appetizer. He's just revving up. And he's already casting demons out of the synagogue itself. Now watch this. The aerial view again. Okay, look. See this? You see the synagogue, right? You see these houses, right? It is less than a block and a half by our standards in Arlington. Less than a block and a half from our standards in Arlington. From the synagogue to Peter's home. Ain't nobody putting a sign up in Capernaum saying, the hometown of Peter. Are you with me this morning? But this is how far it's further to the 7-Eleven on the corner from here than it is from the synagogue in Capernaum to Peter's house. Literally, you go out the front doors and you walk through these houses, and these are the foundations of the houses that they've dug up. And you walk through these houses. Now watch the two blue dots. The synagogue, you see that big circle? The big circle is a church shelter they put up over Peter's house so that no one can go there and ransack it. And I'm glad it's there because now we can secure that place. That's the distance. between the synagogue and Peter's house. Why does that matter? Because they got to get Sabbath lunch. They got to get Sabbath lunch. Now, it matters for another reason, too. And just stay with me here, because I wasn't joking that there's no sign in Capernaum that says, "Welcome to the hometown of Peter." Now, you would think with the importance Peter has played throughout the Christian church that there would be. But it's Jesus. Right? It's Jesus that Capernaum remembers. It's Jesus. Because they embraced him. It could be Nazareth. You know what? There's no sign in Nazareth. I've been there. In fact, we don't even have any of the ruins in Nazareth. We had to build a pretend village for tourists there. There are no signs in Bethlehem. But Capernaum took Peter's town and made it Jesus' town. Simon's mother-in-law was in bed with a fever, and they immediately told Jesus about her. Are you still with me? What do you do when you have a problem? You're not with me. What do you do when you have a problem? You tell Jesus. Why do you think we are setting up shepherd groups? Why do you think we're making sure you have a point of contact with the church? Because not even did the church expect Jesus to telepathically know when somebody was in need. And if Jesus couldn't telepathically know that Peter's mother-in-law was in need, so is the case of us. So they immediately told Jesus, you must tell Jesus and you must tell your church your need. And so they did, and Jesus, he moves quickly. Jesus, he does not delay. Jesus goes immediately when he knows the need. Jesus goes and he addresses Simon's mother-in-law. And it says here in Mark 1:31, he went into her and he took her how? By the hand, and he helped her up with what? He helped her up, and the fever left. And she began to what? Wait on them. When Jesus knew, Jesus went. He took her by the hand, and the fever left her. We have to bring our needs to Jesus. We have to know our needs to bring to Jesus. And we have to embrace the authority of Jesus. Listen, this story could have been different because Jesus could have still been in Nazareth. Right? The geography of Jesus is circumstantial in this story. Are you with me this morning? The geography of Jesus is not preordained in this story. The geography of Jesus is circumstantial, and he is in Peter's house because Peter's house is around the corner from where? The synagogue in Capernaum. And why is he in the synagogue in Capernaum? Because the synagogue in Nazareth didn't need him or want him or accept his message, right? So what am I saying? Jesus may not always have a miracle plan for you. And I don't know what would have happened to Peter's mother-in-law had Jesus still been in Nazareth, but I know that God would have been in control of that too. But then the larger existential question for us is, if Jesus is in our town physically or not, do we recognize his authority in our lives? Because he may or may not, by circumstance, be present at that moment for you, but his authority is always present. And even if he is physically present, it doesn't guarantee a miracle if we're not in tune with what he's doing. That evening, this is day one, by the way. Day one in Capernaum. Well, who's keeping score here? Jesus against some number of demons in the synagogue. Jesus against a fever in Peter's home. And that evening, after sunset, the people, how do they know? They heard about the synagogue. The people brought Jesus, what? All. How many? All. All the sick and all the demon possessed. The whole town gathered at the door of who? Peter's house. What if? What if? What if Arlington? I mean, what if Alexandria? I mean, what if Fairfax? I mean, what if DC? I mean, what if they heard about the power of Jesus in the church of Arlington? What if we came in one week and because of the stream, because of the people sharing the feed into their news stream, because of the broadcast going around the world, because of you and you testifying in your life of what you see Jesus doing in your church life, what if we got here and the whole region was at our doorstep? It's the same Jesus today. And Jesus what? He healed many. In Nazareth, how many did he heal? A few. You see why you're supposed to be comparing these two cities? He healed many who had what? Various diseases. He also drove out how many? Many demons. But he would not let the demons speak because they knew who he was. Right? What's the difference? What's the point? Why are we talking about these two cities? Because every city, every church, every place, every person has the ability to either cramp the power of the Holy Spirit in a place, or empower the presence of the Holy Spirit in a place. Jesus did not love Capernaum more than Nazareth. Capernaum wanted Jesus more than Nazareth. And how you and I embrace the power of Jesus in our church. How you and I believe in the power of Jesus in our church has everything to do with what people outside our synagogue hear about Jesus. You know what I love about this church? I'm trying my best. I'm trying my best to work with other churches to understand this. What you guys understand. Churches have brick walls, and unfortunately, we have solid doors in this congregation. But what we are doing right now, you see these cameras, you see these microphones, you see that AV team? This is a worldwide window. This is why we tell you to share the feed. The whole town showed up at Peter's door because people left the synagogue and told everybody about what Jesus did, what Jesus said, what Jesus preached on Sabbath. When you share, when you put out our service, you are exposing everyone you know to the power of Jesus in your church. And you only share if you believe that power is really there. But if this story was true, all of Arlington, all of Alexandria, all of Fairfax, all of DC could show up at our door. But if it was really literally fulfilled in our church like it was in Jesus, they didn't show up at the synagogue, did they? If we really believe in our mission, if we really believe what we're about, the whole town may show up at your door. And they may say to you, you are the ones from the synagogue of Arlington. Heal our family. Listen to the team.
I need you. You need me. We're all a part of God's body. Stand with me. Agree with me. We're
It is His will that every need be supplied. You are important to me. I need you to survive. You are important to me. I need you to survive. I need you. You need me. We're all a part of God's body. Stand with me. Agree with me. We're all a part of God's body. It is His will that every need be supplied. You are important to me. I need you to survive. You are important to me. I need you to survive. I prayed for you, you prayed for me. I love you, I need you to survive. I won't harm you with words from my mouth. I love you, I need you to survive. I prayed for you, you prayed for me. I love you, I need you to survive. I won't harm you with words from my mouth. I love you, I need you to survive. I prayed for you, you prayed for me. I love you, I need you to survive. I won't harm you with words from my mouth. I love you, I need you to survive. I prayed for you, you prayed for me. I love you, I need you to survive. I won't harm you with words from my mouth. I love you, I need you to survive. It is His will that every need be supplied. You are important to me. I need you to survive. You are important to me. I need you to survive.
Mark chapter 1. Check it out. Because I didn't have time to tell you all the miracles. I don't know who was keeping score, but Jesus was racking up the wins. And we were just getting started. Here's the thing. It doesn't matter what good things a church has going for it. It doesn't matter who lives in a church's town. Because Jesus lived in Nazareth and they only had Peter in Capernaum. It Doesn't matter if a church has problems. Capernaum had demons in the synagogue. See, sometimes we size up a church and we talk about, oh, that's a problem. Look, I don't care about the problems in the church. Because I don't give worship to demons. I just care if Jesus is in the church. Because if Jesus is in the church, the demons will shut up and get out. But if Jesus isn't in the church, it's Nazareth. Just keep focused on Jesus. Keep focused and keep looking for Jesus. What do you tell people about your church? Tell them about the power of Jesus. And we will not have room in the synagogue. They will be lined up. Think about it. You saw the map. They will be lined up from the synagogue to Peter's house to see Jesus. If you keep telling people about the Jesus in your church. Dear Heavenly Father, I thank you for Jesus, who is the head of this church. I thank you for Jesus, who has worked to bring us together. I thank you for Jesus, who has brought us through this many different weird stages of this pandemic. I thank you for Jesus, for these children that have been born and come and dedicated here. I thank you for Jesus, that Jesus is here and no evil can dwell and continue to dwell in this place. Father, I'll just ask that as Jesus is here, we would recognize that we need him. We need him to survive. That is the secret of Home Sweet Capernaum. Home Sweet Capernaum knew when they heard Jesus that they needed him to survive. In Jesus' name, amen.
I pray for you, you pray for me. I love you, I need you to